This season, while filming Pat Callinan's 4x4 Adventures, our 14th season, I've been using a brand new set of driving lights across all three of my Fords. Now, they come under the banner of the Nighthawk Variable Series. There's 3 different models, and in this video we're going to run you through the different features of each of those lights so you can work out which one is best suited to your sort of driving. Now, while testing these lights, it just so happened that we went right across Australia. So we did all sorts of different tracks. We went up the east coast and did some nice tight forestry tracks. We went to Emu Creek 4-wheel drive park, the forest out the back of the Border Ranges and Lismore and Byron Bay. But then we also took in some more remote locations. So we did some 4-wheel driving around Mount Isa, around the Northern Territory, up through the Litchfield National Park, and even over into the Kimberley. So we really did get a good feel for which lights are actually good in which conditions, because that's essentially what we were trying to find out, which light is best for which conditions. Okay, so the first light that I want to show you is called the VLI, and that stands for Variable Light Intensity. Basically that means that you have 7 different settings of intensity for that light. So if you want full power and maximum range, you can turn it right up, and if you want to lighten it off, obviously dial it down. Next up, you've got the VCT. Now that stands for Variable Color Temperature. So you can change the color temperature of each of these lights from 3000 to 6000 degrees Kelvin. So if you want a nice warm light, you can have it, or if you want a real blue light, you can have that as well, or something in between. Well, it's up to you, your choice. Then finally, there's the VBP. We've been running that on the Ford Everest, and that means that you've got a beam pattern that actually changes from a direct light to a wider beam. So let's kick off with this one. Why do you actually want that beam pattern that changes? Well, pretty much because I guess it changes as you go. You can have a wider beam for tight forestry tracks, and I really like that, particularly on the east coast when we were cruising around Emu Creek and out the back of Byron Bay. It's fantastic for animal strike because that's really when you want that better lateral vision. But of course, when you want to hit those straight outback roads, you can tweak it. You can simply change it to a longer, straighter beam. And that is just fantastic to really see the distance on those outback roads at higher speeds. Now, the beauty of these VBPs is that you can also change the intensity as well. So if you want to dial up those lumens, you can. Then there's the VCTs, and that's that variable color temperature that I was mentioning earlier. Why do you actually want to change that color temperature? Well, it does really help in different conditions. Warmer colors tend to be better for definition in snow, on white gravel roads, or in dusty conditions, and they give you less reflection, whereas cooler colours can be handy for outback locations. But the reason I like these VCTs is because of that personal choice. I kind of like having a warmer light for most conditions. You might not, so you can change it for that. So just that ability to change as the conditions change in front of you, or as you actually want to relax things for your eyes. Personally, I like the warmer colours because it allows my eyes to actually change between that high and low beam much better than that icy blue light. So having the ability to just tweak it on the run in the vehicle real time, for me, I absolutely love it. And the other benefit of that colour temperature change is that in rain, snow and fog, we know that yellow lights offer less reflection and better definition. So essentially, it's better vision. And finally, we've got the VLIs, and that is the Variable Light Intensity. So this model doesn't actually change color temperature or the beam pattern, but it is the most powerful in the range. Now, this is a great light, particularly I think if you're traveling in those outback conditions. I really like to change the intensity for fog or dusty conditions. Likewise, for those road sign reflections. We all know that a powerful driving light can be a real pain if you're in an area that's on the outskirts of town that does have a lot of signs. And if you can dial that down without losing your high beam, for me, it is a really fantastic feature. And it can also be kinder to other road users in the outback. I mean, if you've got road trains that are kilometres and kilometres away, Sometimes you just don't want to go straight to low beam. You do want to still have some driving lights supporting your vision out front, but you don't want maximum intensity, and changing it is just such a great feature to dial it down. Not to mention, I love these VLIs because they really do help me out with eye fatigue when the lights are too bright. You've got 7 different steps of intensity, so it does make it that much easier for your eyes to adjust when the lights are too bright. So there you go, folks, the new variable series of driving lights from Nighthawk. They are a particularly interesting light, and I do think that they will change the way that we actually look at driving lights and what we actually want out of them for our conditions. To be able to change them on the run, live, as you're driving, to me, it's a pretty cool feature.